was just curious, we talked to Sean a little bit ago. He was saying that there's a chance y'all have Maxwell Harrison back soon. I was just curious about the rookie class in general. You guys went heavy defense there, but there have been so many injuries. How has that impacted your ability to evaluate those guys just where they are at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, there's only a couple of the guys that we've been able to consistently evaluate. The most physical and mental part of it. So it's affected us, but we always got to be ready to adjust, and that's what we've done a good job here over the years.
Sean was talking about the adjustments you made first half to second half last night. What do you think was key in just kind of, utilizing halftime to make those adjustments and clean things up for the team coming into the second half?
Yeah, yeah, there was a few adjustments, but the biggest thing I think was, you know, the message of, you know, comes down to fundamentals. It comes down to our tackling. It comes down to doing our 111th. And, I don't know what it was. Certainly we're all in this together, but, it was a different game in two halves. And yes, we made a few adjustments here or there, but it was nothing astronomical to impact the game that way. It certainly helped us, but it's one of those things where we've got to make sure that we have football's an imperfect game. We got to make sure that we have as close to 11 doing their job, and hopefully it's 11 guys doing their job on every play, because the less guys, or the more guys, excuse me, that are not doing their job, the worst result we're going to get. And that was a little bit of the message we sent today.
Is that was a message today or last night?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. Thanks.
You got it.
Hey, Bobby, John Worrell,
Hey,
AP.
John.
Speaking of adjustments, as well as you've done in making adjustments at halftime and whatever tweaks you can make, how important is it to start the game off fast as opposed to having to adapt, or is that the challenge of having to adapt to what you're seeing out there?
John, I mean, that is 100%. That's a great question, because we need to start fast, and we need to figure that out real fast. Not to be a play on words there, but you look at the Jets game, and even the New England game. We started fast there. Yesterday's a perfect microcosm of what I just talked about. We force a fumble on the first play of the game, and we line up offsides. Things are going to happen, but those things cannot happen. And so there's a fast start that quickly got taken away, and we got to be able to make sure that our temperament, our attitude, the way we're approaching it, our mindset does not shift just because of that. So let it be a valuable lesson to all our guys, and us, of the importance of everybody starting off doing your job at the highest level possible, and then, as you said, starting fast. And we certainly started fast, but the penalty took that off it. So
I get that. Secondly, you've got Larry and Michael Hoecht coming back. What are the opportunities and the challenges of integrating them back into the lineup, especially at a time where you're a little, you're quite banged up?
yeah, we've obviously had some discussions with that. We'll work through that and just figure out what the best way going forward is. But certainly there are some moving parts with it, obviously, that we'll have to take care of, and we'll have the right group and the right plan together.
How welcome is it to know that you're out of the tunnel, in the sense that you've got guys coming?
Oh, it's great. It's great. Two veteran players, that bring a lot to the table. And, it's a welcome addition anytime you can add, talent, not only talent, but, the intangible pieces that they could potentially bring.
Thanks, Bobby.
You got it.
Coach Babich, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports
What's up,
1080. How
Mookie?
you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing good, Coach. Um, just kind of talk about how tough has it been for you defensively, dealing with so much transition. You're dealing with rookie growing pains and injuries. How difficult has it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to make an excuse.
Mhm.
You know, it's certainly just about, evolving and adapting to what's available and trying to find, uh, the best pieces to that puzzle to try to get the best product that we can possibly get.
Absolutely, coach. And I know it's been tough these 6 games dealing with that. And you're dealing with injuries from your linebackers, from your safety. So those where the costs come in. So I know how, at times it could be a little tough for, that to happen, not having, your particular guys out there, but it's a next man up situation. So, what are some of the things that you're going to be focused on during this bye week to get things back on task?
Finding the best version of ourselves moving forward. Where we need to, what we need to latch on to as far as our strengths and obviously improving our weaknesses.
Absolutely, coach. Have a great bye week. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mookie.
Hey, Bobby, it's Sal. How are you?
What's up, Sal?
Couple things. So I want to go back to lining up offsides, and Sean said it last night, the same thing, which is you rep it in practice. They know not to do it. Something you're taught when you're a little kid, right? Pop Warner football. Can you, for a fan's sake, could you take us into what that looks like during practice and how to kind of make sure that that's not happening, but also from a player's standpoint of why would a player line up offsides? I think fans wonder, like, how could that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, like you said, it starts when you're young, right? You learn you cannot line up offsides. There's a certain process that we go through when you talk about the D line, and it's one of those things that seems very simple, and yes, it is simple, but identifying the ball and the actual line of scrimmage, for a defensive end, you're further out.
Yeah.
Making
there's
sure
a crown on the field too. Maybe that could come into play, right?
There's a lot that goes into it that seems, it's very simple. But again, the more you're off the ball, there's potential angles in time for the offensive line. So finding that sweet spot is very important. And obviously our D-line guys have a process that we go through and a teaching progression there because you want to have a progression for everything.
Okay. Second one is a little more X's and O's. So I noticed like you had Taylor down in the box a little bit more last night, close to the line of scrimmage. You go one high. Okay. So when you talk about tackling sometimes, do you find is tackling just tackling or do you have to balance? No. Okay. Tackling could be different if there's one high or two high, depending on how you're attacking angles, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely space when you talk about tackling, how much space there is. What level we want to tackle at based on the angle that you're taking,
right?
What hip we're approaching. There's a lot that goes into it, and depth from the ball carrier and depth from the line of scrimmage definitely comes into play.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
Hey, Bobby, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. So my question is going to be on Deion Walker. And I guess I'm a bit interested in it because there were a lot of splash plays that were made. So when we're at the game last night or when people are watching on TV, whatever it is, you notice the splash plays because they happen. But then Sean was asked about Deion Walker's game and, it was like, okay, definitely some good things, but some things we need to clean up. And I think it maybe surprised at least me a little bit that it wasn't just like, oh, he played phenomenal. So with a player like that, how do you find the consistency that he can still make those splash plays and that those are impactful, but also there aren't the maybe mishaps that don't immediately get pinned on one person, and then end up
being it's that's a great question, Matt, because you see the splash plays up front, right? When you just look at defense, okay, well, you look at defense, having coached the linebackers and the safeties, never coaching the D line, is if a guy is out of his gap up front, there's at times where the guy in the second level could potentially make up for it. It's never spoken about, however you want to say it, publicly, whatever, or to the naked eye. Well, then if you get through that second level, then there's the third level. And once you get past that third level, there's no other levels to the defense. So things that might seem not a big deal might be made up because of a guy going above and beyond on that second level, or kind of making up for the player, if that makes sense, on the first level. And so there's some things that go in there, or your backside on a play and you end up in a position you're not supposed to be in. And that's just in general overall. And that's where the D-line, some things can get a little bit masked per se, because they are on the first level of the defense.
And then my follow-up to that would be, a very high snap count for Deion last night. And I understand that that's circumstantial given the Daquan injury and everything. To have defensive linemen be the most effective, and I know that there are some outliers, what do you think a good snap count looks like? Or a percentage? I don't want to give you...
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting number. You kind of you have to feel it, kind of as we've been doing with Joey, and finding that sweet spot. Because I think two things. A is the age of the player. You know what I mean? Because you're in a wrestling match every play. I think secondly, in an ideal world, you have a structure where you could be, let's say if you had 4 interior D linemen, let's just say, where you could be 50-50 across the board. That would be ideal. Sure. But you run into situations where maybe a guy's better on third down than the other guy, and now you're trying to balance out first, second down with third down. How many third downs do you have? Is it a whole first and second down game? So it's just kind of a feel of getting guys to the spot where we need them. And obviously last night was a little different with how it went down. So obviously we had to make some pretty quick adjustments there in pregame to kind of balance that out.
All right. Thank you,
Bob. As best we could.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate you. Thank you.
You got it.
Hey, Bobby, it's Jay with the Buffalo News.
Hey, Jay.
There's, probably a tendency to feel like the sky has fallen here a little bit, when you take a 2-game losing streak into the bye week. But, the reality is you're not. It isn't. You guys are 4-2 through 6 weeks. So if you could give me a glass half full kind of view, what have you liked that you've seen from the defense through 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think I've really liked our response. Here's what I've liked. I've liked our resiliency. We've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. Have we gotten the complete result we've wanted? No. But we've shown resiliency, and guys have stepped up and been ready to play, as it was evident last night, especially in the second half, right? That's kind of the, to your point, even with last night, first half was, it was not our brand of football. Don't know what that was. Second half, we come out and, completely different game. I really like the way that our guys are attacking areas. So, for instance, it was obviously a big deal going into this week with the run game. The way they're attacking our points of emphasis. What we've got to stop doing is trying to correct the points of emphasis after, for instance, last night, specifically in the first half. We've got to get to the point where those points of emphasis week in or week out are just stacking on top of one another, and we're carrying them throughout. And it's not, hey, let's go back to this. Let's go back. Let's make sure here. That's got to be every week. And I've got to continue to do a good job of making sure our guys we're checking all those boxes. But responding to things that we know we've got to improve.
Yeah. Thanks, Bobby. Have a good bye week.
Thanks.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Great. How are you? Sorry, you got me.
Good. Yeah, no worries. Sean was saying that Max might be coming off injured reserve somewhat soon. What's your hope for how involved he can be the rest of this year, considering how far behind he is already?
Yeah, we're going to take it one day at a time. And just kind kind of see where he's at as we move along. We're doing some things right now to kind of see where he's at. You know, it's been a long time since he's played, and you know, we'll find that best time to where we feel like we could potentially incorporate him back into and what that time looks like. But you know, I know he's done some good things, and you know, as far as coming back and working back, and looking forward to getting him back out there.
How similar is his situation to what Cole went through last year? And can you learn anything with how Cole transitioned back in last year to help you with Max this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it's similar. It's not quite the same. A little bit different, you know, injury or whatever that may be. So I'd say it's fairly similar, but definitely, you know, missing most of training camp, and you know, the football's football, and you know, that we're going to have to get him back to playing football, if that makes sense to you. Not only just all the technique and all those type of things, but the contact and the tackling and all those fundamentals that we're going to have to get him back into that here fairly quick.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Enjoy your bye week.
Thanks, Nat.
Yep.
Hey, Bobby, Jenna Cottrell in Rochester. I know the old adage of like it's either win or panic in the NFL, and I know there's panic in terms of the fan base, but how do you kind of toe the line between urgency and not letting it get to panic? And what does that look like for you in terms of this defense?
We've been here before. You know, I've been here 9 years. We've been at this spot before. Completely understand. You know, the sense of panic. But in this building, we know where we have to improve. We know, when I talked to the team or the defense about it today, of, you know, look at the first half, look at the second half. It's the consistency in what we're doing, guys. We got to come out. We got to start fast. You know, and this is a long season. We are 4-2. We know there's things we have to improve on, and we will continue to improve on that, or continue to work to improve on that. Our whole goal is to be peaking at the right time, you know, during the season. We understand that, and you know, that's our approach. It's going to be consistent every day with an urgency to get better where we need to get better.
Sorry, I jumped on late. I didn't know. Just in terms of the bye week, what does it look like for you? Like, what do you do during that?
Like you're saying, as a coach?
Yeah.
So we'll go through. We'll basically strip down the whole 6 games that we've played, and we'll go through every situation throughout the game: first, second down, third down, 2-minute red zone, all those type of things, and take a look at, you know, some things where we got to improve, and maybe identify some things where we're best, you know. So it's certainly coming at a good time, and we're getting to work already on it.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
You got it.